Hi everybody. So for good afternoon and good day or good morning wherever you are and whatever time it is right now. So quick introduction to me. My name is Kyle Corkran. I'm just a PhD candidate here at umkc. I will have my PhD in sorry, informatics and mathematics, sorry, for emphasis in statistics this May. So this is my talk about today is my poster, which is Binge Bayes. Probabilistic framework for binge drinking analysis, right? So the idea of this paper, it's not my main research. My main research is infectious disease modeling and more like theory, how to build more efficient models to represent transmission dynamics that are observed and latent, and then also like stochastic ones that deal with random infections. So I had an idea for this poster the previous hackathon a year ago at UMKC as the grant I work on with NRT here at UMKC is about mitigating alcohol and substance abuse. So I thought that binge drinking is a problem that you see in public health, especially among, populations that are young and trying it for the first time a little bit. And they able to drink too much, it leads to health problems, which places are better or none. The health system here. So I was okay. We should get a model to help us understand this behavior be more closely than we do now. So the idea with the binge phase is, first of all, since, like I mentioned, binge drinking is a major problem in the US. I think the last time I looked at statistics was back in 2025. You have about half of, youth, college age, high school, let's say they have done it at one point in their life. And then a lot of existing models, and if you review the literature, you see that a lot of models just use binary outcomes. I mean, it's yes, the binge train, no, the binge train. Right? But the problem with that is, as I said previously, binge drinking is a behavioral problem. So it's not always uniform on what that looks like for each person, right? So you have people who drink maybe 1 to 5 drinks or more, 5 to 10, 15 to 20, or even more, in a 30-day period. So the binary model doesn't really capture the severity of binge drinking or just the variance you see in behavior across, the populations. So then, okay, why is the solution, which I'm proposing here with this poster, is an Orndl model. So the outcome is not binary. It is just yes or no, right? And then so the it's sorry, it's not yes or no. It's 5 levels. So it's, ranks 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, right? Which then we can use the Bayesian framework to estimate uncertainty by making a probability calculation about how many drinks they're going to have during the period. So then that's the objective is just model as an ordinal, estimated by right now just by probability by age and sex and their interaction. We're going to get the odds ratio. We're also going to hopefully show that the Bayesian proportional model, because there's like binary ones I mentioned previously, there's a lot of log regression models instead of proportion. We want to show that's just some more effective with data you can find in public health databases. This one is from a NIH survey of people and talking about their drinking habits. So again, the methods is again just a Bayesian proportional model, which you can see is before it's a standard, looks very similar to a log regression function. The difference is you have an AK, which is just our odds ratio cutoff points for placement into different categories, so which is you can understand regression there. The beta is just held the same. So the effect caused by equal variance is just the same for both. And then how we're gonna then like how are we gonna get the inference in this? Just we're gonna use a Bayesian Markov chain or a Monte Carlo Markov chain to be more specific. which then will, after I think 10,000 or not 50,000 runs of iteration, will give us a posterior distribution of probability. And then again, they will help us for output, which is just different categories drinking. And if you go to results, that's just binge drinking, right? That's just different results to binge drinking. You see that a lot of them, like the highest probability for was 1 to 5 when you had a boy or a girl who was in their adolescence, so 12 to 17. It didn't work. And then you had 1 to 5 again, about 60%, which went 8 to 25, suggesting that most likely, based on this model, younger people are going to drink like 1 to 5 in a 30-day period. It was after 25, you see the severity of binge drinking to be not as common, right? And the odds ratio, we calculated that too. It's kind of showing that, females who are below drinking age are, higher to drink than males at the same point. And the same thing, females at 18 to 25 are higher to drink than their counterparts, so the counterparts or the reference on that are males aged 17. So just trying to show that odds are higher if you're a girl and age 25, according to this model, according to the data, right? So again, we're now stratified different behaviors, not just going yes or no. We're trying to it helps us account for the intensity of the problem, rather than just do you do it or not. And then we have a method for estimating that, and then we can estimate treatment, right? And the conclusions by shortly model, but taking as an ordinal outcome provides more information than binary correlation, especially because this is a behavior problem that's different based on a person. It's not just uniform. And then adolescents show higher risk of frequent binge drinking, while adults over 25 show the lowest probability of no binge, or the highest probability of no binge drinking. Especially if that falls out with them. The biggest impact I wanted to say is by modeling binge drinking as a multiple outcome rather than a binary behaviorist approach provides more detailed information that can support targeted public health intervention prevention strategies, right? So you can add more covariance to your long function modeling and the methods in recalculating probability categories. And you keep doing it, confidence you see if it drops. And it's an easy way to do this. So it's just right now we have a method hopefully for policymakers or especially maybe in emissions, college emissions, or people in high school, or they're around a lot of younger people, and they can do something, their method to estimate their behavior. But anyway, thank you for listening. Again, this is just a side thing. I hope you get a great appreciation for older models here, and especially that this kind of method of, ordinal outcome for modeling behavioral issues is better for is more efficient for researching than just a classical, do they do the behavior, do they not do the behavior. Again, have a good rest of your day, night, wherever you are, whenever you are. Again, think goodbye.